What's up, guys? Myung here from CURB360. So I'm going to go over a tutorial on how to do walkthrough videos with your phone. So since I'm using my phone to record myself in one of my breaks between house shoots, I'm going to use my wallet as my phone to show you the movements. So first off, this proper setting that you need to have or you need to be in your phone is always shoot in 4K and always shoot in 60 frames per second, so that way we have room to slow it down if we need to. So interesting thing about that is that for some reason, like on my phone, when I set it to 4K 60 frames per second, when I get out of it and I go back into it, it changes. It defaults back into 4K 30 frames per second. Maybe it's my setting or something, but I think every phone is different. But just be checking your phone every time before you shoot. Just check to make sure it's 4K and 60 frames per second before each shoot. And that's very important. You want 4K because our phone, even though it does shoot great videos, it's a very small sensor. So inside houses where it's a lot darker, it tends to be a lot grainy. So we want to try to get the best quality our phone could provide us. So if you have the latest iPhone or Samsung phones, you want to make sure that you shoot in the widest possible angle, super wide angle, because then it's kind of like taking house photos. We want to use that super wide angle to show as much as possible in that one area that we're shooting. So that's important to know. So another thing that you should know is there are 4 basic camera movements that we would like for you to try to stay and use, but every once in a while you could definitely try your own movement on top of that. So not in replace of that, you want to get your 4 basic movements, and on top of that you could do something creative, and I'll explain a little bit more a little later. So first thing you want to do is when you come to a house, obviously you're gonna start off, everything is just like photography too. You're gonna start off by taking your shot of the front of the house and then the corners of the house. So if it's a box, you want it right in the middle. If it's a box of a house, you want to shoot right in the middle, facing the house, and then you want to shoot at a 45 degrees to show the angles of the house. So first shot, try to make your very first shot a push-in shot. You don't have to hold the camera and just start walking forward. You can actually just find a good spot where you would normally take your photos, hold the camera, and steadily just push forward and push backwards. You want both of that movement in case we do want to use the one that's coming backwards. So first movement, forward and backwards. Second movement, panning left and right. Just stay put and just pan left and right, using your body to be as stable as possible. Third movement, sliding left and right. So I'm not walking to the left, I'm not walking to the right. I stay in place firmly, and with my hands I just slowly slide to the left and slowly slide to the right. The fourth movement, this is my least favorite, or not least favorite, but the least movement that I do, is tilting up and down. And each of them is you want to use each of the movement that maximizes that movement, right? So for example, when you go in, first off, when you do the front of the house, you got your first shot around the middle going forward, and then the second shot you go to one of the corners, and then you could do a pan. And maximizing shot of that angle, the reason why you would do a pan in that specific corner is because that pan will show the most when I pan. So let's say I'm shooting the house, and when I pan to the left, it might show a park that's right nearby, or something that's really nice, maybe plants or something. So it maximizes that movement. And then I go to the other corner of the house, and then I could do a tilt up and down or a slider. So when you do a slider, you want to make sure that you have a foreground, like maybe some trees that you're sliding off of to reveal the house. When you have nothing as a foreground and you slide, you could barely see any kind of movement. So it's pretty much useless to have a slider without any kind of foreground that you could use to slide off of. So I'm going to kind of repeat some of this as we go over a house shoot. So when you shoot a house for a walkthrough video, you want to just shoot the main part of the house, which is pretty much everything except for the little secondary, third room and things like that. So the obviously front of the house. You walk in the living room, and then the dining room, the kitchen, and then backyard, and then the master bedroom, and then of course the master bathroom. Every once in a while, if there's an amazing looking loft, then yes, add that in there. If there's a cool looking office or just some kind of a theater room or something special, then yes, go ahead and add that. But the video is only a minute and a half long, so you can't really get too much shots. And plus, we want to try to separate our walkthrough video being a simple video compared to our higher end video that we do a lot more with. So front of the house, you got that 3-shot, and then you go into the living room. And each of the rooms that you go into, give us at least 3 different angles, all right? And 3 different angles. We might use just one, we might use 2, we might use all 3, but at least 3, 4 if you want to just be, enthusiastic, right? So when you go in, the first shot will always be, like I mentioned earlier, the push shot. Okay, so when you walk in, how will you walk into the living room? So you find that angle. If this is a living room, then let's say you're walking in this way, then you stand in that area where you would normally take photos, and you will just push your phone forward and backwards, forward and backwards. So you stand there, find a good angle, making sure that all the lines are straight. So the walls angles are straight up and down. You're not like tilting down so that the wall angles are looking crooked. You're straight forward, a little bit low, maybe below your chin, and making sure that the lines of the corner walls are straight up and down, and the lines of the floor is straight left and right. You don't want it all crooked or, weird angle and things like that. Every once in a while, you can break that rule, but you want that basic positioning. So first movement, how will you enter the living room? Boom, you go in, you get that shot slowly, slow movement, and then come back a couple of times. Done. Easy. Next one, you find a corner and you decide, where am I going to do the pan movement? Each movement has to be different than, so you're not going to go into a living room and give us a shot that's forward and backwards, one corner, forward and backwards, another corner, forward and back, and constantly the video is just forward, backward. It gets kind of repetitive and boring, so we want to change it up. So you got that forward movement that I mentioned, forward, backwards, pan left and right, slide left and right, and tilt up and down. So the next movement will be panning. Where is the best area to get your pan shot? Where can you maximize that pan shot? So you don't want it to be in an angle where when you pan, it's just the window and then there's a wall and it doesn't show the amazing thing that's happening behind me, right? Find a corner, maybe it's like all the way at the corner of the house where you're facing away from the windows, and then that pan will show the kitchen, the dining table, the stairs, the entrance. So you see everything in that one pan movement. So you got to think about that. You got to think about the movement maximizing the shot, right? What can you get the best out of that movement, right? So go all the way to the corner, get that pan slowly all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and just do it twice. The first one might have been a little, crooked or wobbly, so just do it twice. It doesn't take you that much longer to just go over it, left and right. And then the next one, I want a slider. You want a foreground. So in a living room, there's usually plants, there's usually lamps or some kind of statue or anything like that. So let's say I go to the corner where there's a lamp in front of me, and then I could slowly slide away from the lamp as a slider to reveal the living room, right? So none of the shots I'm walking with the phone. I'm just staying in place, finding the best angle, making sure the lines are correct up and down, making sure I'm at 4K, 60 frames per second, and then just stay there with your hand, and then just slowly slide it to the left, slide it to the right. That's it. Very simple. Done. Okay, so now going to the dining room. This is very repetitive. You just do the same exact thing over and over again. First off, how would you enter that dining room? So find a position where you might normally take photos of, and you will just find a spot and just push forward and push backwards. So that's how you enter the dining room. And then next shot, once again, repeating the same thing that I've said, where would you get the best pan left or right to show the most? So you're gonna go to a corner, it'll show the entrance of the dining area, it'll show the kitchen, and then there's no windows to give you that that backlit effect that you get with your phone, and you get to just, you know, pan left or right to reveal everything. And if you do see, if you're shooting against the window, one thing great about our phone is that it does a great HDR. When I shoot against the window with my phone, it has an HDR effect that allows me to capture the outside and the inside. If you use a regular camera to do video or photo, obviously if you expose for the inside, the outside would be blown out, right? It's just very difficult to work with. But our phone technology has that if you have the latest Samsung or iPhone. So when you do when you get to that angle of the window, because of the fact that your phone is always automatically adjusting, you want to have the most minimal movement as possible, right? So when I'm shooting against the window, there's a beautiful view. I want to aim it, and instead of giving a full pan, because as you're panning, it'll start flickering. If you got a beautiful window shot, just kind of slowly go forward and slowly go backwards. Just a very minimal movement. You could stay still if you want to be safe, but just give it a small little, and then that way you get the most minimal flickering possible. So you got that down. Okay, now to the kitchen. Once again, how do you enter the kitchen, right? So you enter the kitchen, first shot, forward and backwards, and then you find a corner, panning left and right, and then you find another corner, and this time maybe it's a tilt up and down. The tilt is, you want to use the tilt if you got an amazing floor and an amazing roof, right? Because if you're aiming down and it's just junk, and you're aiming up just junk, that's just a wasted shot right there. It's like just made the shot worse. So you got a beautiful tile, you got some awesome, you know, ceiling design or whatever. So you could just hold still and just move up and move back down just a couple of times, very steadily. All right, so you got that down. Kitchen, then the backyard. You go to the backyard. Once again, if this is the backyard square, you just shoot it in the corners. Maybe this is where you want. So if this is a backyard or room or a house, you always want to shoot here in the corner, facing this way, that way, straight down, and in all that corner. You don't want to kind of come in at a weird different angle of the room, unless that if that angle is amazing, then you could definitely do it. But you want to keep the basics down. And once you get at least 3 different shots per room, like once again, shot meaning how you came in, your corner, then you got a corner, you got a nice 3 shots. Then once in a while, I recommend you just being creative. Find an angle that you might be able to do something fun with your phone. There's a cool TikTok videos out there that the guy with the phone, he just kind of runs around and does something crazy. So every once in a while, I'll do something crazy like that. I'll go in front of some kind of plant that's in the middle of the table, and then I'll just kind of fly through it into the ceiling, or, you know, just kind of come up with something if you like, if you feel it, you know. So just, and then we might add it, we might not, and sometimes if it works, it makes the video just that much more amazing. So I highly recommend breaking off that tradition every once in a while and to try something new, but don't use that crazy movement as your main movement. And as an editor, we're just stuck with that movement that kind of didn't work, right? So once again, 4K, 60 frames per second. Check it every time before you shoot in case it changes, unless your phone is good at staying in its setting. 3 different shots per room, different angles. Don't be giving me 3 shots in that same corner. You're staying in there, you're panning, then you're tilting, and then you're sliding. No, you want to, you know, different parts of the corner, just like how you would take photos. And then, yeah, you know what, that pretty much wraps it up. That's if you have any questions, just give us a call, you know, message us or anything like that. I'll definitely be there to help you out. So good luck out there.